components should be connected. Who is interested and who is capable of doing it?
Services, your intel services, you would, that NATO, the US, CIA, the West did this. Why wouldn't you present it and win a propaganda victory?
In the war of propaganda, it is very difficult to defeat the United States, because the United States controls all the world's media and many European media. The ultimate beneficiary of the biggest European media are American financial institutions. Don't you know that? So
This is the emergency broadcast system. This is not a test. Repeat, this is not a test. This is our advice to take the following steps. If exposed, remove the payload.
Podcast for the curious mind. I don't know what that means.
Broadcasting live from a Chinese-made microphone high atop the Sioux Nation. I am cussing with hussing with Big Poppy D on Phantom Fact Society, where P stands for brainwashing. How you doing, Devin?
I'm doing good.
Happy Super Bowl Sunday. This for our non-American listeners. Super Bowl Sunday is a sacred holiday for Americans. It is a day where we all get together in the afternoon. We drink spirits and snack on snacks and watch grown men in tight pants beat each other to death for a chance at a ring. So it's a beautiful, beautiful day for us.
Why don't they just do the Super Bowl on a Saturday? Why they got to punish everybody and put it on Sunday when everybody's got to work the next day?
Because they know we're gonna. It's almost like a taunt, like a straight up taunt, in my opinion. Is we know you have to go to work on Monday. We're still gonna do it Sunday night as late as possible. Make it drawn out as possible so that everyone will have to suffer together equally. You know, it's a shared experience, don't you think? You know,
no. Start the petition now. Change it to Saturday.
I would not be opposed to a Saturday Super Bowl.
Right?
It would,
I mean, they got 2 weeks to prepare for the motherfucker. Like, you got plenty of time.
Do you think they worry about the rioting? Is it the rioting? Maybe like you get a full extra 24 hours of people tearing your city down?
That's possible. I mean, depending on who wins it, right?
Well, so like I don't know.
Denver's classy. We don't riot when they win. You know, we celebrate.
Whenever bullshit. Whenever Michigan and Ohio State, and you know that, I know you're not a big college fan, but you know Michigan and Ohio State is a huge football game in the college world.
Yeah.
They refuse to play that game. It's a rule. They can't play that game at night. It has to be at 11 a.m.
Wow.
People, you know why?
Shit faced by the end before it starts.
Yes.
Been tailgating all day.
You sort of look like Cartman when he did like the closed eyes thing. You went all in on it. Should we? I guess should we do the sponsor of today's show?
Yeah, we should always let our sponsors go. You know,
absolutely. All right, here we go.
Pitbull Super. You want to go hard like a dog? You want to go hard like a dog, Big Daddy? Not just any dog. Hard like a pit bull.
I love that part.
Oh, yeah. Then you need Pitbull Super. Go get yourself some Pitbull Super.
Warning. Not to be used in hotel orgies with your friends. Side effects may include splitting penis or exploding penis, resembling a shotgun blast.
Pitbull Super, you stud. Try it now.
I fucking love that. As when she comes in, she's like, hard like a pit bull. Fucking just goddamn.
Got the dog barking and everything. What a crazy story that was. Now, did you see the clip art for today's show?
What? Putin? Oh, Elmo?
Yes. So we are buying time for Chris May to put on pants. It's the longest possible pants putting on.
How long ago was that message that he said
like
that?
5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
He's putting his pants on. I don't want to start without him, you know. So, you know, we talked about the Super Bowl. We talked about Pitbull Super. I did want to show. Are you messaging him? Please.
7 minutes ago.
Yeah, message him. Tell him hurry the fuck up. No, I did want to. Let's see here. I think this is the video.
Sergey.
Do you remember this by any chance, Devin? This would have been 2015. Hillary Clinton meets with, I think it was Sergey Evrov, or what was his name? But they were resetting relations between Russia and the United States. It was 2015. And this is our Secretary of State at the time, Hillary Clinton. And this is this
important meeting and our time here together. I wanted to present you with a little gift which represents what President Obama and Vice President Biden and I have been saying. And that is, we want to reset our relationship. And
let's do it together.
So we will.
The fuck? I got you a red button. Did they get that from Staples? Remember that
yes,
button
yeah,
push
that was
Staples?
easy. Yes,
Yeah.
that was during that whole time frame too, where Staples
Yeah.
hit the red button.
Yeah.
Well, it gets better though. It gets better. They got him a gift, but it's not even the like right. They didn't even do it right.
And that is, we want to reset our relationship. And
Let's do it together.
so we will do it together, okay?
Oh, that laugh.
I like how he's got the two fingers like you would if you were really putting on a, you know,
Thank you very
the other kind of red
You're
button.
very welcome.
Just laugh though.
Oh fuck! Please stop! Stop! Oh my god! It's like when those fireworks came out. Remember that shit? Like she's like, "Oh wow!" Like, oh fuck, that was terrible. My favorite thing that came from that is somebody inserted a dick into her mouth. Have you ever seen that GIF?
No, I have.
She comes out and goes, "Oh wow!" and then a dick comes in from that side and just goes right into her fucking mouth.
Are you
So fucking funny, dude. I actually got Facebook jail for that because I reposted it in many groups that I was in.
Well, we are going to be getting into the Facebook jail, the Twitter jail, all of those things that happen. I don't know. What was that about 4 years ago? It started really popping off.
I was gonna say Twitter jail ain't a thing no more, is it? Or is it still? I mean,
Twitter?
you gotta be doing some bad shit.
I'm talking during that time frame in 2016 when all of these businesses were banning people.
Oh yeah.
You know, but I wanted to start off with that clip of Putin in that Tucker Carlson interview.
Oh man, I haven't watched it yet. I totally forgot to like watch it.
And so yeah,
when I saw that clip, I was like, oh shit, yeah, that's right, it did come out.
We watched the whole thing the other day, and I thought this part, excuse me, I thought this part was, I think like the most honest part of the entire interview. Putin's, as far as Putin's natural reaction to a question. We'll watch it one more time.
Opponents should be connected. Who is interested and who is capable of doing it?
Services, your intel services, you would, that NATO, the US, CIA, the West did this. Why wouldn't you present it and win a propaganda victory?
In the war of propaganda, it is very difficult to defeat the United States, because the United States controls all the world's media and many European media. The ultimate beneficiary of the biggest European media are American financial institutions. Don't you know that?
We're number one. We're number one. It's true if you get everyone to say it.
Yeah. I saw an interesting clip or video. And it was about how the U.S. really is an empire. It's the largest empire that's ever been built without using the military, and they did it through economics. But it's more of a corporate empire, right? And it was a really interesting point about how it's globalist, but it was done without the use of military because of how we were able to weaponize the dollar. And then corporations came in and were able to use that weaponization to create a business empire, which is in the best interests of like the West and the United States of America in particular.
Well, and that's what we're going to dive into today, because we did Operation Mockingbird.
Yeah.
Which was your show, actually. I was re-listening to it. It was such a good show.
Dude, that was great.
Yeah. Go back and listen to that. Now, the mistake we made, and I'm discovered this and understanding modern day U.S. propaganda, was that we were just focusing in on CIA propaganda from the CIA department.
Yeah. Well, that's what Mockingbird was a CIA program.
It was a CIA program, and they developed it. What was it back in like it was back in the late 40s. They started putting thought into this
immediately after World War II or during World War II.
So we'll start with the history of our propaganda here in America. It starts during World War I, and Edward Bernays and some other psychiatrists and psychologists get appointed by the United States government to open up an information board for the United States military. And what this would do essentially would create a theme. These guys would create a think tank and, create a theme of propaganda to use on American citizens to get them to buy bonds and support the war effort and be okay being taxed at 90% during the war. And you needed these forms of propaganda. And it's interesting. Some historians have noted that the biggest mistake the World War I Germans did was not have a propaganda team. If they had developed a propaganda team, it probably would have turned out different. But you remember the hatred towards the Kaiser Wilhelm. They had a bunch of songs and stuff. That was all a reach of American propaganda. And what is
cartoons?
And like propaganda is like a big naughty word, right? Like it's an evil. It's like, I guess it's, when you hear someone say propaganda, you don't immediately think, oh, good thoughts. It's usually like, right? Isn't that your initial reaction? It's like, why? Why does propaganda make you feel like,
I don't know, because it's always had a negative connotation because they're trying to influence you. They're trying to influence you.
So Edward Bernays wrote in his book, Propaganda, that the biggest mistake they made in World War I was taking, excuse me, not World War I, in the beginning of World War II, was talking about how Nazis were using propaganda. And they pushed that on the American citizens. Look at all this Nazi propaganda, so much that the word became synonymous with evil during World War II. And ever since then, they've never really been able to recover the word back to just a neutral feeling. It's always been associated with something not good.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was interesting. Like that their propaganda was so good against the Nazis that its effects have lasted for 80 years, 70, 80 years afterwards. So, this it shows you the power of the word in itself. But how exactly does it work in the U.S. government? Now, you talked about cartoons. They were using cartoons in World War II. There's a lot of you can look up the old Looney Tunes cartoons, are very super racist.
Oh yeah. I even have sorry. In one of my I have some World War II historical documentary, DVDs.
Oh,
and
sure.
They have the old propaganda like news clips that they showed on the, because back then, how'd you get your news? You had to go to the movie theater, and they presented the news at the movie theater, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, they
Yeah.
spread news around and like showed video clips and like racist towards not just it's Germans, right? Look at the Germans citizen with their beer and their sausage. They like try to make beer and sausage like a negative thing.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And they
Everything
talk-
was.
yeah, and they even like attack the Japanese. They call them nips and like look below, a Nipponese warship. Like, I'm like, God damn, man. Like, it's like just out there.
I mean, it wouldn't be Phantom Facts if we didn't if we didn't play a little bit of what was going on back in the 40s during the World War II effort. This is a song they made on Looney Tunes. Can you see it all right?
Yeah, I can see it.
Came another partner to make a silly axis of
Oh,
himself.
fuck.
Are you Japanese, a sapper man, sneaking up with a do? Just a Japanese, a sapper man, I'm a little crazy too.
Oh, that's crazy. Wow.
Oh, sorry. Oh, so sorry. Oh, very, very sorry, please. Oh, to apologizing like a Dickens. Oh,
He's got he's speaking Japanese, but he's got a swastika on his arm.
Talk about how that's flipped, huh?
Yeah. I am Chinese, made in Japan. Fuck. I mean, but he had a swastika on his right arm there as he's fucking paddling. Did you see it?
Yeah. That was the I mean, it was everywhere. Like, it wasn't just there. Everyone was doing it, and it was we talked about Disney and his connections with the government during World War II and producing military friendly films. John Wayne was doing it. This was a normal thing for a lot of people to do it. Little wonton boys still waiting for you, Chris. Glad you could take time to comment.
He said he had to go to the office because his kid fucking broke his screen at home or some shit.
Tired of these work excuses, I tell you. It got so bad. I guess I apologize. It wasn't bad. It was, I guess, I don't know. What do you think? It makes sense to me that you would want to have things people watch support your war cause, right? I mean, like, we were fighting the Nazis after all. We needed money to fight the Nazis.
It was a little different back then too. Like, that's extreme fascism, right? You know what I mean? Like, it was legit. I don't think they really had to sell the public as much as they actually did, but I mean, propaganda is propaganda. You need people on your team. You need to form biased opinions. That's how you do it.
Well, and that's what I mean. Like, anything is propaganda. Anyone arguing their point of view, isn't that propaganda?
Yeah.
If you're trying to fight for, your viewpoint to win in legislation, are you publishing propaganda? May is at the red light. He is.
Yeah. Every time I hear that.
Yeah.
Don't gotta put out the red light. I love how that song's all about, like, prostitution and shit, but
propaganda.
Yeah. But I have a hard time with, like, I tell my kids this, right? Because social media is in your face, videos out the ying, AI videos getting pretty decent. I'm pretty good at still spotting it.
I mean, it's only gonna get better.
Yeah, deep fakes are real. Like, you know what I mean? And I was like, just because you see it on video, like all those ones, like even like UFO videos, I believe a lot of those are even faked. Like, just using graphs. I have a hard time believing it because it's so easily faked now. Is this propaganda I had to get to before? And I know I've told you this before, but I do not believe that Ghost Kiev was real. Right. I believe that was propaganda. The same thing with the sniper thing there in Ukraine, fuck whatever. Like, I believe that was all just propaganda to get people like, yeah, go Ukraine. Let's fucking now send some more money, whatever.
2 months ago, we were told there were 70,000 dead in Ukraine. And now it's been updated to 200,000.
I heard 400,000 last. Like, I saw some other number that came out that said 400,000, like youth, like young. You know what I mean? Like, 25 or younger.
Yes,
It's like, Jesus,
I
man.
think they're right.
Yeah.
But that's the power of propaganda. That's why when you show that clip of Putin being asked that, and he just laughed. We're number one. We're number one at propaganda. You're not going to beat us at propaganda. And there's a reason why. So like we started off with the history where it really kicks into high gear in World War II. We see it everywhere. And then 2 elected officials from the state of South Dakota, Harrison Smith and Kurt Munt. Actually, they've got a museum archive of all his work in the university just an hour away from me. So I don't know if you ever heard of the Smith-Munt Act.
I have not. It was news to me when you brought it up to me.
Okay, so Smith-Munt Act happened in 1948.
Right.
And in 1948, Smith-Munt and Senator Smith get together and they start arguing the case that any type of propaganda used against American citizens should be banned. Any type of propaganda. Any type of propaganda that the U.S. puts out should not be played on U.S. land. And there was a couple of reasons. It's not as noble as you want to, like I wanted to believe it was like, oh, this very noble reason. It was mostly because they didn't want the government to take control of like CBS, NBC, or ABC. So like they would, slowly become the only television supplier for all of the United States for when it came to news. That was their long-term concern, was that if the U.S. government started playing news and covering stories at Newswise, it would push out the other companies. It would destroy that economy. And then the United States government might take over. And so in a way, media-wise. And so in a way to prevent that from happening and to protect the different news organizations, these 2 men created what was called the Smith-Munt Act. And what this does is it does not allow any type of media format that was published by the United States government to be broadcast in the United States.
Well, it's failed policy then. I'm just saying.
Not failed policy. Actually, exactly the opposite.
It's failed now. That's all media is. All the news stations, they're just fucking government little bitches.
We're going to get into the detail of how this the history of this Smith-Munt Act. So what happens is they create the Information and Educational Exchange Act, better known as the Smith-Munt Act, is what we'll call it from here on out. And pretty much any type of remember we talked about the spies that were caught in Hungary that worked for International Telephone and Telegram?
Yeah.
Okay, so we created a bunch of these infrastructure for radio and television out in Europe when we rebuilt Europe. And then we created Voice of America, which is a radio station, and other news outlets that would straight up like just tell the American point of view. And we talked about this with the CIA, right? Like the CIA, they found George Orwell's book, what was it, Animal Farm.
Yeah.
And they turned it into a movie. And so that stuff could not be shown in the US. Couldn't be shown in the US. No matter how innocent it was or how good it was talking about American politics, it could not be shown in the Midwest. And so and to show you how like serious they were about it not being shown in the Midwest, in 1965, they had to go to Congress to get a joint resolution from Congress permitting them to release a film to be able to be played in the U.S. So, like, they had to go to Congress and say to Congress, hey, can you make a special exception for this one film so that we can show it to the American people? And Congress ended up doing it. Now, can you guess what the film was?
1984.
No. I'll give you a hint. The year was 1965 when they went to Congress.
1965.
1965.
John Wayne movie?
No, not a John Wayne movie. You're gonna sort of think this is interesting. Here, I'll just share it with you.
Okay, I was wondering if Marilyn Monroe would be a part of this somehow.
You see this? You see this tag right here that they had to put at the beginning of the film?
This motion picture was originally produced by the U.S. Information Agency for release in foreign countries.
This is a propaganda film. 1965.
USIA.
It was true that the assassin took careful aim at the President of the United States. It was true that at the precise moment the assassin waited for, the trigger was pulled. And it was true the President was killed. But it was also true that the assassin missed his target, for he wanted John Kennedy to die, and that he was unable to do. For no man could take away years of lightning with a single day of drums.
Well, they're just like, we got to get... Oh my gosh, so this is about JFK assassination?
Yeah. Wow.
Like, hey, too many people are suspecting us of killing our own president.
Yeah,
we have to be able to, like, we got to come out here and, like, tell them some bullshit.
We got to put out a piece. We got to put out a piece.
Let that sink into your head, right? I mean, they go to Congress and like, hey, I know we're not allowed to do any propaganda here, but
we probably should, because people are a lot of pissed off about our shitty fucking investigation.
This ban essentially prevents the U.S. government from producing any propaganda within the United States. Now, I know what you're thinking. We did Mockingbird, and we talked about all the examples of that. And
they didn't actually produce the whole thing. I see what you're saying.
Well, and no, the CIA did go out and produce quite a several amount of stuff, but the CIA is not the State Department, and there is a significant. Hey, mate, you wanna center yourself there? There's a significant difference between the CIA and the State Department. So the Smith-Mundt Act had nothing to do with the CIA. It was not a rule for the CIA. Yeah, the CIA is its own entity operating under its own laws. This was a rule for the American government not to be able to make any propaganda films to be in the U.S. They couldn't, or any type of propaganda, radios, radio shows. They were allowed to operate outside of the U.S. however they wanted. Couldn't do it in the U.S. So I'm looking through this Smith-Mundt Act, and I'm just like, well, I mean, this seems like, looks like it did its job at preventing propaganda. But then in 2010, something comes up, and Representative Mac Thornberry, a Republican or a representative from Texas, and Adam Smith, a Democrat from Washington, Thornberry was a Republican from Texas, introduced a bill called the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2010. Doesn't pass. 2 years later, in 2012, there is a bill that is getting passed for the State Department for funding. And inside of that bill, which is like 3,000 pages long, Representatives Thornberry and Smith introduced an amendment called the Smith Modernization Act of 2012. And in 2013, it becomes law. And the Smith-Mundt Act is removed from American law. Now, what's interesting is the people that oversee this are called the Broadcasting Board of Governors.
Oh, of course.
And they make up 9 heads. 8 of them are appointed by the president and then confirmed through Congress. And one of them has to be a member of the State Department. So whoever's serving underneath the Secretary of State at the time makes up the 9th. And these Board of Governors, decide everything when it comes to messaging. Now, I mean, like you say, well, where's your proof? Is that such a thing? The best part is they have to live stream all of their meetings. So guess what I've been doing for the last 2 days?
Nice.
In 2012, 2013, I looked up all of these Board of Governor members, right? Because I sort of wanted to get an idea what was, this is a big deal. All of a sudden, the State Department has pretty much unlimited funds to dump in to propaganda. And so I got a couple clips here of some of the people that were involved in this. Let me see here. Let me pull up. So the Smith-Mundt Act gets repealed January 2nd of 2013. And the Broadcasting Board of Governors, which would later change their names again. But this all stems from the information agency video we showed you from that JFK. It's the same. This is the same. It's not a company, but the same organization throughout it all. They just keep changing their names. So it was like Information Agency back in the 40s and through the 90s, and then it became Broadcasting Board of Governors, and now it's USAGB, which is just an acronym. But we've got let me pull this up here. I gotta remove some of this. We got videos from their YouTube page. So like they created a YouTube page in 2013, which it's all funny because like all of their stuff like that I was looking for comes from 2013. Now, to give you an example of like obviously some of the stuff they do in other countries, this is
I think a lot of our followers online are very young. I think they're from teens to 20s in that range. And I think they're really excited about the programming we put online because they get to interact. We ask them every week, what do they want to talk about next week? And every week we use their answers to create new content. And we always say we really wouldn't know what to say.
All right, so it's 2013. Do you know what she does?
Did it say she's a music teacher or something?
She has a show that broadcasts only in China. From the BBG that teaches Chinese kids American slang words.
Oh.
That shit don't air in China. They got that shit blocked.
Without their suggestions, and it's true. They come up with great ideas, and they were the ones who came up with the one show that went viral. So depending on how many people really are interested in that topic,
Me too.
sort of determines how
Bearded
each
Girls.
show will,
It's my favorite
do
channel.
online. It's very
So I mean, I just wanted to show that example of like these little.
Sit at my kitchen table and shoot it.
But they're doing it here, but they're still broadcasting it in foreign countries. They're not broadcasting here.
So this was pretty much think of that as like a corporate video explaining what we do, right? So yeah, no, that's all they do is this. Let me show you another little video they have. Let's see here. Oh yeah, here's the role of social media at USAGM. That's what they go by now. Here, we'll play that.
My name is Camila Hawthorne. I'm a Presidential Management Fellow in the Office of New Media, and I'm in charge of social media strategies. My job entails helping the different VOA language services come up with ways to use sites like Facebook and Twitter to engage their audiences and generate content.
My name is Wei Lin, and for the last 4 years, I have been
Spy for
the
sure.
English editor for China Branch English teaching programs.
My name is Jessica Stahl, and I'm a social media coordinator and web producer for VOA English Broadcasting. The Student Union blog is a blog about international student life in the U.S. It's targeted towards students who are thinking about coming to the U.S. to study and students who are already here.
All right, so I'm looking at all these videos and I'm thinking, oh, this is all like pretty innocent stuff, you know, like we talk to foreign students, tell them why it's good to come here for college. We teach foreign kids slang, you know, just kidding, LOL, stuff like that. Totes awesome. Literally, she says that in that video. Jesus Christ, who is Microbean?
I love
it. Are we on Twitch now? That's great.
Yeah, we've been on Twitch this whole time.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
By actual international students who are here.
Oh, sorry, I meant to remove that. But then we start going into a little bit more into the BBG, because it's the BBG who makes up this board. Now, in 2013, the ex officio, the person that had to work from the State Department, would have been Hillary Clinton. So Hillary Clinton was the person in charge from her side of the State Department in 2013 when the Smith-Mundt Act is removed. Now, there's a couple of other things that are going on in the BBG at this time as well. And I'm just going to show you, and let's see here. Give me a second. Oh, that's it right here. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so if you go into the different people that were in charge of the Broadcasting Board of Governors at that time, and like sort of look at where they are now, because we're 10 years removed from this Smith-Mundt Act, we get to sort of get an idea of like what their schedule was, what they were looking at. Let me pull up their board meetings here. So guys, can you see this? This is a list of all of their board meetings dating back to I think it's like goes back to 2012 or something like that. But you start to sort of get an idea of how it starts to change. So the new rule comes into play in January of 2013. These board members start to have strategies on a year later. They start having strategies on how to discuss media freedom. These 3 new board members come in on August 21st. There's a huge firing that takes place in 2012. And let me see if I can find that clip. But essentially what these guys do is they end up having a conference with like 5 huge Hollywood people in 2014. Let me see if I can find that here. February 25th, 2014. They have this huge conference right here.
All right. I think everybody's here, and I'd like to welcome everybody to the board meeting for the Broadcasting Board of Governors and officially call the meeting to order.
this guy eventually gets fired for sexual harassment 2 years ago. I don't know if you remember this story. He ends up, after having this chairman role, to run NBC.
Oh, okay.
So this guy runs NBC. Keep going here.
This is an open meeting of the Broadcasting Board of Governors. This meeting is being held in compliance with the government and the Sunshine Act. The live website will be available for later viewing on the BBG website, www.bbg.gov.
I just tried to go there and it
pleased to
say what now?
I just tried to go there and it took me to usagm.gov.
Yep,
US
that's
Agency for Global Media.
Yep, that's the new name for them. They changed it again.
Right. And then down here it made me laugh. It says the U.S. Agency for Global Media is an independent federal agency overseeing public service media networks that provide unbiased news and information in countries where the press is restricted. Unbiased, huh? Bet.
Let me. And it's. I guess what I find so interesting about it is in these meetings, you get to sort of see how it transitions from the global side to here in the U.S. and how they effectively start their propaganda campaign in the U.S. And it all starts with these different meetings that they have here. Let me see. Sorry, I'm looking for a specific example here to show you guys, because in fill up some time here, guys. You're good.
I don't know what you're looking for.
Well, no, I just talk about what we're talking about. Jesus Christ.
I just love that they keep changing the name. I mean, the BBG is I find that hilarious. But I mean, is this quote unquote like you think it's a spy network in a sense? Like they're training and developing?
I don't know. Like with like Mockingbird, and there are some good things they did. Like they promoted the U.S. Symphony.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Right. They promoted the symphony to like travel around to show like that freedom actually, increases art and it can be beautiful. Like that was one of their programs, like legit. Here's one: is it rumors, myths, and untruths? There are many things people misunderstand about the U.S. international media. Here's a guide to the facts. Should we click on it and see where it takes us?
Go ahead. Yeah,
Maybe a porn site.
Untrue. GM Global Media, right? U.S. Agency for Global Media programs are just propaganda. False. No, the mission of its networks is to broadcast accurate, balanced, and comprehensive news and information to an international audience. The mission to promote freedom and democracy is achieved through journalistic integrity and through the dissemination of factual news and information to an audience that typically does not have the access to free press. The broadcasters know that their effectiveness is based on their credibility and that their listeners are not interested in propaganda.
But I thought nobody cared what happens over here. Like, why?
Well, I understand. Like, I think their mission is to not allow those states, right? Like, it's North Korea, for example, to like propagate, and not that they're successful in doing this in North Korea, but to tell the people like, hey, your government's full of shit. We're not really interested in that, because like, look what happened with Japan. Like, those people were so afraid to surrender because they thought the Americans were going to rape them and then cannibalize their bodies, because the Japanese government had freaking, imperialistic bullshit, pretty much brainwashed these people to think if they had to fight to the death because you didn't want to suffer the consequences of being a prisoner,
getting raped or tortured. Who leads the propaganda world? Like, are there top 3 countries or top 5? Is there a list?
Well, I mean, do we play the clip again?
Opponents should be connected. Who is interested and who is capable of doing it?
Services, your intel services, you would, that NATO, the US, CIA, the West did this. Why wouldn't you present it and win a propaganda victory?
In the war of propaganda, it is very difficult to defeat the United States because the United States controls all the world's media and many European media. The ultimate beneficiary of the biggest European media are American financial institutions. Don't you know that? So
Okay. So
see this. I just
we
come
do.
across
that we do. We run
Yeah.
the best propaganda campaign.
So
in the world.
reading this thing about the USA GM, right? Global Media. It says they're not allowed to broadcast in the United States.
You're right.
Of the Smith-Bunt Amendment here. Like, you can check it out. But also it says, here's another one. It says that people think we have an unlimited budget. Untrue. We actually do have a limited budget, but guess how much it is?
How much?
Millions.
Not $1 billion. It's like $944 million. Like, come on.
Our budget's $1 billion.
That's almost unlimited. I'm just saying.
Well, I think
man.
I think we're going to show you how, what you just read there can be true, and the fact that they're propagating here in America can also be true. And it starts with this is so you guys remember the Arab Spring in 2011?
Yeah, it was huge.
Right.
Yeah.
It was very huge. Yeah, absolutely. Well, the BBG, the most specific one is Egypt. They tried to overthrow Egypt, and Egypt backfired really hard on them. They got the president to step down, but then the Muslim Brotherhood took over immediately afterwards, and so it just a huge backfire on their part. So now the Smith-Bunt Act has been removed in 2012. It is now 2013. Egypt has gone completely haywire, and so what does the BBG do? They bring in some of Hollywood's biggest stars, and this panel just sort of blows my mind.
To see this auditorium filled. I've met some of you. I haven't met a lot of you. I'm Jeff Shellen. I'm the chairman of the Broadcasting Board of Governors. The other fellow members of my board are up in the front row. Governor Weinstein, Governor Meehan, who I think had to leave, and Governor, obviously, Rick Stengel, who's the Undersecretary for Public Affairs, and a lot more words, which I don't remember in the title.
So we're gonna get past this. So that's that guy. This is Ben Silverman. He was one of the major producers of the TV show The Office. And remember, this is 2013. So I'm just going to give you sort of their accomplishments up to this point.
Everybody from the board, all of the governors, and all of the incredible people who work here. It's been an exhilarating 24 hours for us already to get to connect with some of your partners and colleagues, and what an awesome thing you're doing, and the great institutions that you are supporting. And it's incredible as well to see what a group of Americans is here, representative of the world, which is what America's about. And I'm really, really happy to be here, as are all the panelists. It's an honor for us, in fact, to be here, and we hope.
Now, this group of panelists is interesting. There's Ben Silverman. And let me see here. I can share my screen here. We got Ben Silverman there. We've got Ben Silver, Frank Cooper the third, Morgan Spurlock, Soledad O'Brien. Now, these names may not mean anything to you, but I'll break it down. Frank Cooper ran Pepsi Company marketing division. Morgan Spurlock, he is better known for the guy that ate McDonald's for 30 straight days. You remember him?
Yeah, I was gonna say, can we get the guy that fucking promoted Coke? I feel like Coke's better than Pepsi.
Well,
Man? Pepsi had to go buy fast food chains just so people would drink their shitty soda.
You're going to. This is
I fucking hate
He's not
Pepsi.
lying. He's not lying.
I fucking hate Pepsi. It's so gross. Like, ugh. You know
This
what?
guy-
We can't beat Coke in marketing. We're just gonna buy some restaurants and make people drink the shit.
Mountain Dew is good.
I think Mountain Dew. That's it.
Every time I order from eBay, I get this is interesting with Pepsi.
We'll do my story.
This guy right here is the head
Color of Pepsi?
marketing
Oh.
for
I got him. I got him. He didn't know what to say.
Video that actually is meaningful to people. But that should be exciting to everyone because the power is getting pushed out to people. You just need to know how to leverage it and deliver it to them in a way that they want to share it.
And are you seeing that from a demographic shift too? Is it two different communication tools for two different generations, or?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the country, but look, age, gender, income, location, ethnicity still matters to a certain extent, but I think increasingly life stage matters. What life stage are you in and what are you struggling with? I think increasingly cultural groupings matter. I did a conference one time where I had Snoop and Puffy on there.
That's
Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg.
and
Puff
Puffy.
Daddy.
How do you empower?
Go up to 48 here.
Fucking fall asleep in this fucking meeting. God damn.
Of democracy, of America, of transparency, of openness, of just let us in the door and you guys have the conversation. How do you scale that idea? How do you replicate it? And one of the things that we would say is find good partners. We've all worked together from different seats because we are in a force.
Is this meeting all just about how can we propagate in Egypt? Is that what you're saying?
No, this meeting is called The Power of Storytelling in the Digital Age.
So they're just collectively sharing ideas and what they've done for what they see and how you should move forward in your marketing and propaganda.
How it's worked for Pepsi, how it's worked for my studio, how it's worked for this studio. But the big star is the marketing for Pepsi. And I'm trying to get to the part why he's a big star, because everyone in this room already knows him.
Collaborative medium. But in that conversation and talking to John at Radio Free Europe, we were talking about different ideas, and we were talking about Pakistan and a lot of the difficulties that obviously everybody in this room who touches that country faces in getting the messages out. And Frank came over, and we were talking about.
Is this recent, Corey, or no?
No, this is like 10 years old.
This is when the Smith-Mundt Act was repealed.
Oh,
this
okay.
is the meetings where the BBG is game planning how to run a propaganda campaign in the U.S. This is what this meeting's all about. Is how do we take what we've learned from Egypt, from the Middle East, and how do we apply it to American citizens in the digital age of storytelling?
We just talk about what the company did in.
This is the part I want you guys to pay attention to. This is why this guy from Pepsi is considered a superstar in this meeting, because of what he did in Pakistan and Egypt.
Well, I mean, throughout the Middle East, and you guys know this very well. You have.
You guys know this very well. He doesn't really want to come out and say it because this is still going on in the Middle East.
A young population that wants to be engaged.
And Pepsi, de facto, I mean, you can speak, is the, and it may be harder, is the leader there because they're not Coke a little bit. It's like Coke's the man, Coke's you guys. Okay, but even though they're both red, white, and blue,
it's true. It's true. I mean, look. I mean, if you think, it's just true. So what you say? So if you think about Pepsi versus Coke, I'll just really quickly, and you guys probably all know this. So Coke, what makes Coke really, really powerful? Coke has always been about that feeling of being empowered today, the feeling of embracing what's in front of you, the status quo. It's Coke and a smile. We give you that little lip. They've always been about that. They've been about a moment of happiness, and that's a powerful thing. That's a hard thing to beat. We've always been about the spikes of joy. So if you think of them as a steady state of happiness, we're the spikes of joy. We're about the feeling of being alive. We're about change, about pushing things forward. So we've always had those kind of polar positions, and we just try to play it out. And so if you look to the Middle East, where we sponsor Arab Idol, The Voice, and X Factor.
Fucking shut up.
You can't do that in the U.S., but in the Middle East, we sponsor all three throughout.
But they're getting all three into those markets, and those shows all sell the American dream. I mean, that's what those.
Now, why do those shows sell the American dream? Why do you think those shows he just mentioned sell the American dream?
Because he wants them to drink Pepsi?
No, this has nothing to do with Pepsi. You fucking moron.
Those shows are selling every day, and they're happy.
Well, I mean, they are very popular U.S. shows.
What's their fucking American dream they're selling? And fucking go to work, buy a fucking house, and pay taxes?
He's going to tell you right here.
Because of Frank and Pepsi, they're not happening because the local broadcaster wants to just fund them.
And it's allowing people to be involved in selling that American dream, right? So, the winner is ultimately decided by the people.
Engaged. Right, they're voting on it.
They're voting on it. They're promoting them, and they're speaking in social media about it. And so that's where it becomes really powerful, because the other forms existed before. We knew Battle of the Bands early on in the day. We knew Star Search, and fast forward to American Idol and X Factor and The Voice. That's where you have this deep participation from the audience, and that's what changes everything.
This is not a mistake, gentlemen. This is not a bunch of fucking ineffective nobodies coming up with ways to propagandize you in America. This is well thought out. You know what I mean? This is well thought out. This is not just happen chance by accident. This guy right here, after this moment with the BBG, he goes on to run the marketing campaign for BlackRock.
Oh,
yeah.
So you're telling me Simon Cowell really doesn't like drinking Pepsi? Those cups are all there for propaganda.
It's not about propagandizing Pepsi. They were being hired by the U.S. government to have an in to get into the Middle East and run the spring revolution that they ran in 2012. And Pepsi sponsored it.
That's wild.
It is wild. Ben Silverman and this Frank Cooper guy. You want to know what business they start up after this meeting with the Board of Governors?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Just give me one quick second here. We're gonna talk about their deal here.
I wonder how we're going to get propagandized during the Super Bowl, because this is one of the biggest of the year. Push it down our throats.
I think this is it. No, that's not it. Where is it? Oh, here. These guys start this company. Propagate. Can you see this?
Yep.
Yeah.
So they start this company. Let's take a look at their team. Who's a member of this team right here? Ben Silverman, the guy that was hosting it. Howard T. Owens, he's in that group of guys. Look at the different heads here they got here. They got
We can't see anything.
Oh, you can't?
No, are you showing the team, or are you just talking about it? Because we can only see the Google search.
Oh. Yeah. Present it this way then. Camera, video file. Screen. Present. Share screen. Boom. 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 Can you see now?
Yep.
This is a company, two of these guys on this panel start, called Propagate, to spread and promote creative, groundbreaking content from the heart of Hollywood. Look at, first of all, are we just going to ignore the name?
It's a catchy name.
They don't even hide it.
I wonder what their company's about.
They don't even hide it. Look at the type of work these guys have done.
Trying to think if I've watched.
I haven't seen any of these. City Confidential, I've heard of.
Jackie Robinson. Kubo.
That's the show, though, right?
Yeah. These are
the
all
Untold series. Man, that's really good on Netflix.
Fucking Chopped.
Hillary, Double Cross.
You know what's interesting between all of these people that are on the panel for this meeting? It's just, it's crazy, all the different stuff. Now, some of this stuff, you're like, is this, what do you mean? Like, is this really propaganda?
Kings of Pain. All he does is Man vs. Wild is in there, right?
Let's be real. LFG.
Can't wait never to watch that.
Adam. These are all, anyway, I think this is I think it's interesting that these guys. So what happened is, you're right. The BBG doesn't create propaganda. What the Smith-Mundt Act removal does is it allows you to hire a third party to make propaganda films. And so all of these people on the board here in this meeting all started their own media companies after this. Soledad O'Brien, who was a CNN anchor, starts her own media company. Morgan Spurlock has his own media company. Frank Cooper, the third, who left PepsiCo to work for Visa and then go to BlackRock, was a major financier for all these. Ben Silverman owns Propagate with Collins. So to me, what this meeting is here is just an establishment of who the players were going to be working for the United States government. And what is their motto for their companies? You guys remember the book Woke Inc.? Devin, you mentioned you go woke, you go broke. You remember why people started going woke in the first place? Remember what caused people starting to get woke in the first place?
Some like woke credit agency or some shit, right?
And radio, and then you'd have a public policy track that would operate.
Public policy track.
Made us extremely weak, though.
We saw 110 million votes, more than the election itself, which is kind of weird in itself. But 110 million votes, people were spending 20 minutes.
That was on their Mountain Dew campaign. Vote for where the people voted for their favorite Dew. They got 100. He got more votes than the
time on the site. But it was more a reflection of the brand was trying to evolve what it could be. That it's not just fun. It's not superficially engaged. Purpose is at the core of it. And I think any lifestyle brand going forward has to have some component of that built into their behavior.
So you don't think that the public policy part, in fact, hurt the amount of people contributing or voting? It enhanced it.
I think you can. This kind of false dichotomy between public policy and the brand is starting to fade. It's already blurred, but those two will converge. I think that we're just in a period of time where people want objective truth, and they want truthfulness from brands and companies. And so, if we're in that period of time, and people are more empowered to actually ferret that out, you need to bring together in a holistic way everything that you're doing. You can't have a separate public policy, separate from your commercial activity, which is separate from your sense of social purpose. It all has to become one thing. What do you stand for within culture, and be consistent about that across the board.
And then is your
this guy is the chief mastermind behind woke politics.
So what's the point of their show? Is just to make people aware that propaganda is everywhere?
Yeah, I think
it's in the soda you drink.
I think
TV shows you're watching.
I think it's just like I don't know how to put it.
Social, like a way to get into the psyche of just everyday people.
I'm more fascinated by the fact that they sat down and discussed how they were going to propagandize us.
Yeah.
I mean, they have pushed the woke mindset agenda, whatever you want to call it, on everything. Anything you watch, everything that's on TV, it's got some sprinkle in it now. Like it's
not an accident, May.
No, I know it's not. It's insane.
It happened at this meeting. At this meeting, this is where the brainchild of it comes. And the fact that they were using Pepsi. Listen, Pepsi can do what it wants to do outside the U.S. when it comes to stuff like that. I don't really care. But I mean, the thought of having the voting system for these different competitions, that seems like nothing. That seems like nothing. We're so used to just being able to, since American Idol started.
Yeah, get you on your phone and
yeah, it seems like nothing. And this guy, he's this Frank Cooper guy. He's no joke. Like I mean, this theory, you can follow back all his videos you can find on YouTube from 2013, where he's keynote speakers for different things, and he's
For
talking.
PepsiCo are important for two reasons. One, we spend a significant amount of money in properties, in sponsoring properties. But two, and more important, we can extract significant value from those properties. And what's interesting is what we've seen over the past several years as this shift of just pure sponsorship by association to actually integrating the brand into the experience, all the way to creating the experience itself. And that's a massive change in approach to sponsorships. And historically, I think there was a lot of value in just pure association. You can put a banner behind a stage, you can say presented by, and fans understood that the company actually helped to make that experience happen. But now the space is so crowded, to differentiate yourself, you have to move along that spectrum to deeper integration into the experience, to actually creating. And if there's one thing that we try to keep in mind, and the question we constantly ask ourselves is, how can we add value to the fan experience? Instead of interrupting that experience, instead of hoping that there's a halo effect associated with the experience, how can we actually add value to the fan experience? If you do that, we believe that inures to the benefit of the brand and ultimately the company.
Well, it's actually true about that, dude, though. You know what I mean? People don't want to be annoyed. Like, if you're really good at it, like, I feel like nothing's ever swayed me to buy something over something else besides something I just liked. But I don't know. That's just my experience.
Let me see if I can find one.
To see more of is brands come in and they actually design experiences that help people. If you're a sponsor of the NFL, for example, well, how can you make the fan experience better by creating something around that? Instead of creating a commercial, can you create a film? Can you create some integration into a video game that actually will be beneficial to the players within that game? Creator brands are the ones that add that value.
You better get a Pepsi so you can get some little health out of it.
Obviously, this guy is, he's very intelligent. Obviously,
Yeah.
very intelligent. He ran a successful, and I think he ran a successful coup here in the United States starting in 2015.
No amount of Pepsi commercials is going to get me to like Pepsi, though. You know what I'm saying?
It's you're missing
Coke, you did a hell of a job. Because I fucking hate Pepsi.
Pepsi turns out to be used for the State Department. So keep an eye on that when you're watching your commercials today at the Super Bowl. What type of propaganda are they feeding us? I talked to one.
I was gonna say, what kind of value are they adding to your experience of watching the game?
Well, just this Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce thing, whether it's real or not. I think it's interesting that there has been a history in Hollywood to put gay male actors with hot female actresses and make them a couple for a summer, and it drives ratings, and that's a common practice in Hollywood. So it's not out of the realm for this Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift thing to be along those lines.
Have
you think Travis is gay?
Did you think that thing that got leaked that
you think Travis is gay?
No, they actually promoted Taylor Swift to the CIA as a international fucking, psyop.
That's the whole psyop thing with her.
Yeah,
you
might as well. But I do believe the relationship's real. Like, I really don't care. I've always liked Taylor Swift, so I'm not one of those guys that's like, why do they keep showing Taylor? It's a bullshit. I want to watch football. I'm not one of those guys. It doesn't bother me at all.
Right. Yeah.
I thought it was great that Jason Kelce actually stole some limelight during the Bills game. You know what I mean? Shirtless, fucking screaming, pouring beers down his fucking throat and chest.
But if they do come out together and they're like, and they make a push for Biden or fucking that's gonna be. I don't think Kelce is.
That's just uber gooby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To me, that's just like, ugh. Like, he's Mr. Pfizer. I mean, he is in those commercials. Get your vaccine, everybody.
Immediately after the relationship started.
Yeah, but that's the thing though, because after it started, like he and what else is it? Bud Light. Like, I think that might have some influence on Taylor's side because, like, before you didn't think of Travis pushing the fucking vaccine and drinking the Bud Light that is was taking just a nosedive because they got in bed with the woke folk. Like,
Here's my problem though, May and Devin, is like in the end, it doesn't matter about Kelsey and Swift. Like even if they are in on a psyop, it doesn't matter because they're useful idiots. They're just getting paid. You know, that's their end of the bargain. I'm more interested by the people trying to figure out how to propagate us in the first place. I think that's far more interesting. Find out these people. Did you know there was a studio called Propagate that was created after propagation was allowed in the US? That's mind-blowing to me.
It doesn't bother me though.
That we're being propagandized? It should. It should.
Why?
Because, well, I'll tell you why. This identity politics and Marxism that has taken over the country in the last 10 years has destroyed our children. Has destroyed our children.
Like I said before, wake me up when the revolution happens, bro, because it's too late.
This
is over. Like we're just riding it out till it comes.
I mean,
Ain't no one changing it, man. It's too big.
The play on it once they passed it and everyone, like you said, everyone opened up their own company. Like, you know, that was just a big slap in the face. I mean, not a slap in the face, but it was like, hey, you know, we're all getting a piece of this bigger pie.
Hey, we're doing up. That got overturned, so everybody, we're going to open up media centers, and then we're all just going to get paid by the government to do their dirty work for them. It's no
100%.
different than back in the day when it's like, hey, go open a newspaper in Oceanside, and we'll open it and pay you for it. Like,
I really thought we were going to open up with like Sarah McLachlan and like Save the Dogs. Like, I thought this is where we were headed with the propagate.
Of an angel.
I didn't know.
Away
from
For 5 cents a day, you could save this little puppy.
Yeah. You know which one I hate the most? I know you guys have probably seen it in like social media feeds. It's like no living being should have to eat dry food. And it shows this dog that's like all fucking sad and about to cry. I'm like, how bad did you beat that dog for the commercial, you piece of shit? Every time I get dog from food for my dog, she's fucking wagging her tail. She don't give a fuck this dry. Get the fuck out of here. I automatically skip and I fucking hate that person.
You know, there's an interesting propaganda campaign that's going on right now about eating fake meat.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the push towards fake. That is, I mean, that's the type of stuff we're experiencing now. We never would have had a discussion about the benefits of giving up regular meat for fake meat if this hadn't happened.
Is it fake though? If it's still meat?
It's not meat.
It's not. It's not.
It sells, right? Huh?
No,
I don't think it does. It
And
doesn't take off like they thought it would.
And Tyson Chicken just bought. Tyson Chicken is the only place you can get chicken in the United States. Let that fucking sink in your head.
They totally monopolized the chicken market.
Totally, all 4 markets have been monopolized except for cattle. Sheep are gone. The sheep market is been destroyed.
What do you mean, like on the sheep market?
Oh, you've got there's a great interview Glenn Beck does with a ranching organization out of Texas that talks about how corporatized the Packers have become. So like the Tyson is all chicken now and turkey. Right. So good luck anywhere else. They bought out Jennie-O and all those other companies. And then pork is completely owned by China, which I can attest to because I'm in the largest pork producing state in America, and it is all Chinese owned, along with the crops that are grown in that state. Every 3rd row belongs to China.
Really?
Yep.
Every 3rd row.
So that's why China's never going to fuck with the U.S. because we'll just be like, hey, you know all that shit you have in our country? Not anymore, bitch.
Well, they won't have to after they get development, agricultural development in their country. I mean, they'll be self-sustainable here. I mean, we're doing the same thing to them that we did to Russia, and Russia's completely self-sustainable now. I mean, like there's, they're going to trade grains to China, and they'll be the bread basket for China, and China will trade in manufacturing to Russia. It's all been set up. It's all been set up, buddy. And it's all.
You're such a doomsday gloomer, fucking bro. Like
life
is wonderful.
It's not.
Get food aplenty. It's great. Have you ever looked at the statistics on a global level for starvation and like death? And I'm like, it's the best time to be alive as a human ever, ever, ever.
You know, I heard the exact opposite argument on what show was it? was it Peterson? And they talked about that the government has never had this much control over its citizens in any other period of history. There wasn't
For the
even
U.S.?
No, yeah, the West. Well, I would say Western governments, not just the U.S., but
Well,
U.S.
yeah.
leads that charge.
People vote for safety. What do you expect?
And that's the thing. Like, there's never been that much, So really, we're worse off than citizens from 1100 in France.
All it took was a massive COVID outbreak.
Think about back in the day, though, like how you guys played DayZ. I was talking about this shit the other day with Mike. In DayZ, if you run across another person, a player in that game,
they kill
more
you.
than likely, only one's walking away. Like nobody ever it's rare. I think Corey, we had one time we actually met some dudes and we didn't fucking kill each other.
Yeah.
All the
No,
other
remember
time,
that one
all the
group
other-
that had like all those people and they just talk shit nonstop and they had the castle.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
there was
yeah.
like 50 of them in that castle. Like
Yeah.
they banded together, but us three stooges and the other six people we were playing with.
I'm over here fucking building my badass fort all by myself. I just get capped.
We don't
By
talk
somebody.
about DayZ. We don't talk. We had
Yeah.
we all got PTSD from that game.
I'm just
That,
saying
that
like,
and Ark.
real world
We don't
shit.
talk about it.
So like back in the frontier days when motherfuckers were riding wagons west, right? Like it was fucking dangerous. You came across a motherfucker out in the I still feel this way when I went hunting and shit. When you run into like just a couple dudes, you're like, really, we could murder each other. Someone could murder the other one and nobody would fucking know.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like playing Red Dead Redemption. Can't tell you how many times I capped a motherfucker out in the woods just because I could and I knew I wouldn't get caught. You know what I mean?
You've got
Like,
a government coming. You've got a government coming out and telling you can't text that or you can't say that or you
They're
can't
not going to get
email
that. It won't get that extreme, bro.
How you just talked about getting Facebook banned? Do you think that's not government?
That's a third party. So you can leave it. Have you ever had a text denied because you sent it? No.
Yes. I sent you guys show notes back in 2021 on Facebook Messenger, and it
That's
wouldn't.
Facebook. That's not.
But on Messenger, it wasn't like a post. I sent you a message on Facebook Messenger.
Well, if you're gonna text and fucking rebellious shit, I guess you better do it old school and write it in a fucking letter for him. You know what I'm saying? Write it in cursive. Motherfuckers can't read that shit no more anyway.
I guess we download WhatsApp. We go encrypted.
That's the thing. Like
don't have your clan meeting next to an Alexa. You know what I'm
And don't have it in front of a Ring doorbell.
Yeah. We are becoming a surveillance state. That's no joke. You can't get away with it. Pretty soon, I guarantee this will happen. They're going to have just radar speed systems. There's already places like that, but it'll get nationalized to where if you're speeding on the interstate, you're just going to get a ticket in the fucking mail.
I got
it. If you don't pay it, they don't let you register your car. That's how they do it here in Colorado. So if you cross those double whites to get in the fucking carpool lane, you can get a $150 ticket. And if you don't pay it, guess what? You can't register that vehicle till you pay the fucking fine.
Well,
and interest will probably be included.
Oh yeah.
And there's the argument. I get the argument, like, hey, but just don't break the law.
Well, to a degree, yes. I'm glad. I tell my kids all the time, man. I'm glad there ain't no cameras when I was younger. You know what I'm saying?
All them sheep.
Oh my, not the sheep. Like, I'll admit I committed some felonies. You know. Just never got recorded and never,
So
I
mean,
be in prison, but I'm not, thankfully. And none of it was like capital murder or anything crazy like that.
That teacher that you could have slept with, she could have been in prison if there were cameras.
Yeah, that's one of my
Micropene. Thank you for all of the great comments that were loosely attached to what we were talking about.
Nobody hates woke more than Bill Cosby. You know what? That's true. He's like.
I don't know who Micropene is, but that's great.
Yeah. I was just trying to get me some extra pudding.
Well, you guys remember the what were they called? The Pussy Riot Dolls, the gay group in Russia that got imprisoned, and they said that Putin banned gay people. Remember that whole ordeal happened 10 years ago?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so when that Pussy Riot dolls, sponsored by PepsiCo. Do you get now how it works?
Yeah.
It works. Pepsi's a money funneling system to NGOs that can therefore propagate.
So you're not gonna buy. So you're off the Pepsi bandwagon now too because of their propaganda fucking or the U.S. government.
So I just thought it was interesting. Listen, I'm not like a part of the cancel culture in that respect. Like who am I to tell you not to drink something? I just think it's interesting to know. I mean, like, am I going to tell you not to take aspirin because Bear learned how to gas Jews the most effective way? No, I can't tell you to not take an aspirin if you're like about ready to have a heart attack. Like, take your Bear aspirin. At least it'll save a life now instead of take one. I mean, like, I get that, but at the same time, aren't you a little like fascinated? Like, oh, that's how it works. That's more of me. I'm more like interested in just like we hear propaganda and like, oh yeah, there's propaganda, but I like to see how like these guys develop the engines to make it. I mean, if we're number one,
always consider the source.
We're the best ones at it. Don't you want to know how it works? Like,
thanks, Putin, for letting everybody know. America's still number one.
Number one.
I love how he chuckled too in the thing.
Like, motherfucking Tucker, shut up.
Silly boy.
Like, I just wanted to hear you say it, Putin.
What'd y'all think of that interview?
I
Did y'all talk about that?
I haven't got to watch it yet, unfortunately. I'm going to.
Should we do maybe we could do that for Toppy Tuesday? We just do a live watch of the interview.
Ooh.
Reaction.
Yeah, I like that.
It's 2 hours long. Are you?
Ooh, I am off Tuesday, but
it's 2 hours long.
That's a 2-hour interview.
It's 2 hour interview. It's a podcast. It's a Rogan podcast.
Oh.
And Putin asks him that like right off the bat. He's like, "Are we doing a little fancy game show? Or are we going to have a discussion?" And Tucker goes, "What? What's going on?"
But a lot of it, like for the longest part of it, it felt like it was just like a history class of Russia.
Can we just tell him? We'll give you a little recap because it's so. Tucker asks them why like, are they worried that Americans would really attack Russia? And Putin's like, well, he goes, is this a game show or is this going to be a discussion? And then Tucker laughs. He's like, no, we want a discussion. He's like, okay. So for a minute or so, I just want to give you a brief history of the region that's at war. And then for the next 40 minutes, Putin tells him every land contract that was done from 800 CE to 2013.
He's like, I hand you documents this big for you to take. Document for you. He's like Tucker's like, I don't want these fucking documents. Let's talk about this shit.
I don't care who owned the property in 800 CE.
And so Tucker effectively does that 3 times through this 40-minute period. And Putin goes, we will get to this. I must finish this, though. And then he goes back.
Again, but I mean, he goes in why the talking about like the thing in Ukraine and why they want it back, and then what was the other one?
Port. I know that.
Yeah.
No, he goes in a couple interesting things that I'll have to research. But like because I'm familiar a little bit with the culture of that area, just because I learned the language and I was going to go to Donbass to serve as a missionary there. So a crazy turn of events, But Russia considers Kyiv the like birthplace of Russia. And so that's why, so like that, like all their history that begins at like 811 CE starts with this guy in Kyiv, and then it slowly migrates north with the Mongols coming up. And he talks about all this, and then like back when the Ottoman Empire tried to take Europe, and Russia pushed them all the way back. They got to like take back their original lands, and then he had like the actual documents of deeds with signatures from 811 CE.
That's kind of badass, though. You know what I'm saying? I have that.
He's got receipts.
He's got receipts.
I got motherfucking 1,200-year-old fucking paper saying that shit's ours.
Motherfucker Putin brought receipts.
He did. He brought the receipts.
He brought the receipts. He gave them to Tucker. Not like he's like they're copies, you know. And he's also like they go from Russian to English, so you can read it.
You can translate. You can translate if you want.
And so then after giving him the whole his like speech on that, Tucker finally asks a question, and immediately Putin like makes fun of Tucker, and he's like, well, this organization that you tried to apply for is doing this. He's like, thank God they didn't let you in. And then he laughs about it. He's like, no, they're a serious organization. He's talking about the CIA because Tucker Carlson had tried to apply for the CIA before going into Fox News and it got declined. You didn't know that?
No. Well,
Yeah, Tucker Carlson. Yeah, Tucker Carlson comes from a State Department happy family. Like, you got to look into his family. That's the reason why he's so wealthy. But in CIA didn't accept him, and so Putin, like, you know, like I couldn't tell because Tucker's face is like, because like he's getting like I wish they would have done face shots as they made the reactions to what they were translating. You know? Because like it's always delayed, so Putin's like slamming Tucker, and Tucker's just like waiting for his translation. You know,
have to kick out of Same with Putin. He's just like, and then it comes across, and he's like, "Oh yes."
Oh, damn.
Here, I've got a 5-minute clip of the highlights of it. If you want to see it,
let's do it.
Okay, all right, we can play it. I just thought it was like, you know, it's funny. Putin definitely did his fucking homework with him.
Well, man's been in power for so fucking long. He ain't no dummy.
No, and like look at all of like the guys he's been through.
I did think it would go deeper into some other stuff, but I mean, I didn't think it was bad.
No, I didn't think it was bad either. I gotta find where I put it. Give me a second here.
But just the interesting fact too that, like, you know, parts of Russia, like, where buildings were getting caught on fire when the interview was, like, all the crazy shit that was like happening afterwards. Well, and like, oh shit, they're trying to keep him there, or, you know, it made you think that, like, oh shit, like the U.S. doesn't want him back in. Bordering countries are going to try to capture him. Like, you know, it was like he was the most wanted for a minute.
Here's why I'm looking for this.
Sounds like a good way to propagate your interview with Putin. A little bit of a.
And Russian President Vladimir Putin this morning is calling Hillary Clinton weak and ungraceful. French reporters asked him about the former Secretary of State.
France.
In March, Clinton compared Russia's takeover of Crimea to Adolf Hitler's expansion of Germany. Putin said, quote, "It's better not to argue with women, but Ms. Clinton has never been too graceful. When people push boundaries too far, it's not because they are strong, but because they are weak. But maybe weakness is not the worst quality for a woman."
Oh, damn.
I'm thinking, I guess his mom never told him, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say.
Shut your ass.
Anything at all.
Anything at all.
Yes.
Fucking tell her.
Thank you, Vladimir Putin.
Yeah,
what do you say, Charlie Rose?
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm going to move on.
There you go.
it's all right. I got it loading up here. Get switched over.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, it did really well too.
Elon Musk had already had a chip implanted in the human brain in the USA.
What do you think of that?
Well, I think there's no stopping Elon Musk. He will do as he sees fit. Nevertheless, you need to find some common ground with him, search for ways to persuade him. I think he's a smart person. I truly believe he is.
I think Putin's a little Musk envy. Got a little Musk envy. He's like, man, wish he'd come to Russia.
He just wants a Russian Musk. You know?
Yeah, he really does. Where's yours? Fucking Stalin.
Yeah.
So you need to reach an agreement with him because this process needs to be formalized and subjected to certain rules.
One of our senior United States senators from the state of New York, Chuck Schumer, said yesterday, I believe, that we have to continue to fund the Ukrainian effort, or U.S. soldiers, citizens could wind up fighting there. How do you assess that?
Well, if somebody has the desire to send regular troops, that would certainly bring humanity to the brink of very serious global conflict. This is obvious. Do the United States need this? What for? Thousands of miles away from your national territory. Don't you have anything better to do?
Very true.
You have issues on the border, issues with migration,
Oh, yes,
issues
go.
with the national debt, more than $33 trillion. You have nothing better to do, so you should fight in Ukraine?
Just love it. Pulls
Wouldn't
out
it
that
be
foreskin
better to
and flaps it
negotiate
on
with
it.
Russia? Make an agreement,
No, he's
already
Orthodox.
understanding the
Oh,
situation
is
that
he?
is developing today, realizing that Russia will fight for its interests to the end?
So I just want to make sure I'm not misunderstanding what you're saying. I don't think that
This
I am.
this part's really interesting, Devin. So, like a month into the war, it turned out that they had sat down at the table and come to peace terms with Ukraine, with Zelensky.
Okay.
Did you know about this?
No.
A month into the war, this happened, and then we sent Boris Johnson over there.
I think you're saying you want a negotiated settlement to what's happening in Ukraine.
Right. And we made it. We prepared a huge document in Istanbul that was initialed by the head of the Ukrainian delegation. He affixed his signature to some of the provisions, not to all of it. He put his signature, and then he himself said, "We were ready to sign it and the war would have been over long ago, 18 months ago. However, Prime Minister Johnson came, talked us out of it, and we missed that chance."
Who blew up Nord Stream?
This is funny.
You for sure.
I was busy that day. do you have I did not blow up Nord Stream. Thank you, though.
You personally may have an alibi, but the CIA has no such alibi.
Do you have evidence that NATO or the CIA did it?
You know, I won't get into details, but people always say in such cases, look for someone who is interested. But in this case, we should not only look for someone who is interested, but also for someone who has capabilities.
I just got to ask you one last question, and that's about someone who's very famous in the United States, probably not here. Evan Gershkovich.
Did you watch this part, May?
Wall Street Journal reporter.
No.
He made this kid sound like he was like 19, journalist in Russia that's being held.
We have done so many gestures of goodwill out of decency that I think we have run out of them. We have never seen anyone reciprocate to us in a similar manner. However, in theory, we can say that we do not rule out that we can do that if our partners take reciprocal steps. I do not rule out that the person you refer to, Mr. Gershkovich, may return to his motherland. By the end of the day, it does not make any sense to keep him in prison in Russia. We want the U.S. Special Services to think about how they can contribute to achieving the goals our special services are pursuing. We are ready to talk. Moreover, the talks are underway. And there have been many successful examples of these talks crowned with success. Probably this is going to be crowned with success as well. But we have to come to an agreement.
It's Telegram.
I do love how he says what everyone else, well, maybe not everyone else, but he's like, we here in America have our own fucking issues, but we want to stick our little dirty hands in everything else and just forget about what we have going on with the, the confines of our borders. But yet I'm glad he said that. I wish just more people would take it and listen to it and be like, yeah, he is right. Because, I mean, when he said that, I was like, hey, say it louder for the people in the back, please.
Well, and I mean, go ahead.
When that came out about the pipeline, I mean,
yeah,
everybody knew it was the U.S. that fucking did it. Americans know that we did it. We don't care.
Yeah.
Everybody knows. It's like one of those things. It's like, oh yeah, we totally did to fuck you over. Sorry, to fuck Europe over more, but like it was mostly to fuck Russia over. I read a really interesting book it's called The Oil Card, and it was about how the U.S. actually did take down Russia the first time, and it was because oil was the lifeblood of Russia at the time, and so they increased production and suppressed the price so bad that oil got so cheap that Russia could no longer fund its military and government anymore, and it hence went bankrupt. It was all geopolitical.
Yep.
It was a really great book, and it just showed like the same thing they were doing to China, but they reversed it. They increased the price so damn much that it was expensive for China because they don't have their own oil reserves to be able to afford to slow them down. That's what we did it because we could get a cold from it, but China was suffering because of it.
Yeah. Well, and it's when we only traded chicken with Russia for like 10 years. And he talked about that, like they collapsed the Soviet Union themselves. Like the whole interior of their government collapsed the Soviet Union under the guise that America would flood in and there'd be equal trade between the two partnerships. And that did not happen, at all. It wasn't like how they imagined it at all. And like by the time Putin got to power, it was 6 people that ran that country. It was, straight up oligarchy that ran, oil reserves and all that stuff. So when he came in, he ran all of those guys out. And I mean, I feel like all these countries end up in oligarchies. It's just a matter of like finding out who runs it on in your side. So I don't know. Sindonkin with the what's up. All right. Well, have a wonderful propagated Super Bowl Sunday. Look for the little cues, everyone. Now that you know, right? I mean, like, now that you know. Do you hate me more? Or
I've always known about the propaganda.
I know, but now that you know how it works, like, and that's just some of the players. That's not all of the players. That's right.
Devin's just pissed that the hard push for Pepsi. The Pepsi products suck. Mountain Dew is great.
Yes, that's Devin's takeaway from the thing. All right.
If they would have the Coke guy up there, I'd have been like,
yeah. Yes.
This is the emergency broadcast system. This is not a test. Repeat, this is not a test.
Russian President Vladimir Putin this morning is calling Hillary Clinton weak and...